Welcome back to the fourth quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show. We do it in 4 quarters, and we have to hurry because, we've taken care of most of our pictures, but you found one more picture that we had kind of dropped out the computer momentarily. And it floated right back in, and of course we're talking about Thomas Mack Smith, a religious person who does some charismatic work. Would that be
I think that's a way to describe
good description? And he's a very good friend of our own local city marshal, Paul Mouton. I met Mac with Paul, and of course he even sent a book. Vicky's looking at the book, reading the book. That I guess he wrote the book. I didn't really, I just gave it to her, told her what the story was, but he goes from, I guess, town to town, preaching the word of Jesus, I guess would be a good description of his role, and a very nice person. And I had met him prior to meeting him at the palace recently.
How did your birthday go Saturday, by the way? I have to ask. Happy birthday again. I know your birthday's like Lent. It's 40 days you get to celebrate, right?
It was almost like that. Fifi didn't forget. I owe her $2. If I'd have been at the fundraiser, I'm sure she would have been there. In fact, we talked about that. Fifi Lacombe, once she ever hears your name and your birthday, you're going to get a call from her.
And she's going to sing to you,
and
too.
She'll sing. And you owe her $2 for that. She used to do it for $1, and I got her to go up. I said, inflation has taken over, so you need to get at least $2. But anyhow, I had a lot of phone calls, a lot of friends that remembered me, and I'll just say thanks again for thinking about me.
77, right?
77 years young.
You can brag about it when it gets to that number.
Oh, yeah, I've crossed what the limit age, the mortality age is about 76, I think. So I'm already getting ahead of that. And in good shape.
That's Bobby Dupre. His luck and hard work gets him a little bit more.
Yeah, and my belief in God and trying to do what I feel He wants us to do, and that's to help people that need help. Which reminds me, call Mike Touchette to find out if he was mixed up in that big dilemma that took place.
Because he lives in the Atlanta area.
He lives right out of Atlanta, in Douglasville, I think it is. And when I called him this morning, that was Wednesday morning, he said, "No, Bobby, you know me better than that. I came on home." But he says, "You know what I'm getting ready to do?" I said, "You're going to do something good for somebody." "Why you say that?" "Well, I know you, Mike." Well, he was getting into his large front-end loader, specialized tractor, and it had, like he said, it's got a heater in it and got radio and everything else. He was going over to a Home Depot and pick up some additional chains to put on his wheels, and then he was going to pull people out of the ditches.
Wow.
And that could be a day or two job, because in Atlanta...
Did you see some of those pictures?
Well, people got out of their vehicle to try to walk and froze to death.
The snowstorm just came on. With us, we had warning. We had time to get ready, but they weren't prepared for it, so people were caught on the interstate coming home from work in the middle of it.
Kids didn't get to go home. Stuck at school.
I saw one man walk 6 miles in the snow because his little girl was stuck at the school. He went so he could stay with her and sleep with her at the school so she wouldn't be scared.
Good stories.
You know, so I mean, people are coming out.
Mike, keep up the good work. I brag on you all the time. I know every Sunday you taking those youngsters to Mass, no matter what city you might be in. You're kind of like Bobby Dupre. There's always a Catholic church nearby.
There you go.
And I'm talking about Catholics. The Maronites, which is a religious order of nuns. They produce, I guess, a quarterly magazine. This is the winter edition. And one of the stories about sister associates. And I look down here, and who do I see but Carolyn Jarrell and Betty Wolfe. Sisters. They are sisters. And they graduated, they meaning Betty and Carolyn both graduated from AIC. Well, Yeah, I think even Carolyn, even though she's younger than her sister Betty, she's a year younger than Billy Gerald, her husband, and I. We're the same age, but I think she's a year or two younger than us, but looked a lot younger than us. But anyhow, two pretty ladies, and they are sister associates of the Maronites, and they serve here at Prompt Succor Nursing Home. They assist the nuns, and of course Betty went a step further. She sold her home across the street from Prompt Succor Nursing Home to the Maronite nuns who are retired, for the retirees.
Right.
Then, while looking, I said, well, let me look and see if there's anybody else. Well, there's another story about an interview with Sister Stephanie. And Sister Stephanie is the Assistant Activity Director at Prompt Succor Nursing Home right here in Opelousas. Beautiful lady, and originally from India. And a nice story about why she became a Maronite.
I got to visit there just the other day. My grandmother, Miss Esther Smith Stanford, is over at Prompt Succor. So talk about, if you've never gone, what a beautiful facility. All windows, bright, bright, bright. Smells so clean, so nice. I mean, it floored me how nice the whole facility is.
The Daily World and the Daily Advertiser did an excellent story about the little child, the little dwarf that became known around Opelousas. If you went on the north end at some time or another, you would have seen her like I saw her. And I'm speaking of Franchon, but her real name is Franchon Chamberlain. It has a picture of her when she's 3 years old. Look how cute. And then when she's 21 years old. And she had even got married, had a child who lived approximately 1 year. And shortly after that, her life changed. And actually, she got away, moved away from, they were living in California and other states on the West Coast, and ended up in Opelousas, Louisiana several years ago. Well known to a lot of the people, and what's
over at New Life Center?
New Life Center,
the women's shelter.
She went there. She might have stayed there some, but she also assisted in helping serve the food and doing odd and end jobs around there. Very likable person when she was sober. The sad part is when she drank, she was not that same little person. And very, very touching. In fact, when I read this, I had tears at the end of reading the story. I want to compliment, and there was a nice little compliment. I have that somewheres also, but somebody wrote in and said how nice of an article in the life story, and they portrayed in such a beautiful manner.
She's a real person. I mean,
she was a real person, and she was a sister. She had a mother. She had a father.
She had been a mother.
And she had been a mother.
And that's the one thing to remember. If you get an opportunity to help, either donations at the New Life Center or volunteer work, you know, we always say you maybe have treasure you can send with money, or you've got time you can send if you can spend a little time. And the same thing with the men's shelter here as well, the Lighthouse Mission. Very, very important, and to remember, these aren't just statistics. It's not just, you know, so many percent of, you know, this many people. These are real people with real lives, people that we like to say they're in a transition period in their lives. They're not trying to stay homeless the rest of their life. They weren't born homeless. There's something that's happened in their life that had to cause them either life gave them a timeout, or they had to take a timeout to regroup and try to get back in action. So if you can help.
Tug-of-war waged over Chenier Award, and they're talking about the king's son, C.J. Chenier, and his nephew, Mike Vital. And as it turned out, the sparring between the two sides of the family were settled actually at the ceremony.
The first time the two men had met?
They met on the stage, and they shook hands and hugged, and hopefully all is forgiven between the two, and they can continue promoting the life of Clifton Chenier. Clifton Chenier, almost single-handedly started Zydeco music.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all about the song he sang, Le Zydeco n'a pas scellé. I mean, that's what made the music get the name.
And
it always been La La before that.
There's usually always somebody pulling on the sides, but I don't see anybody pulling on the sides. And they do claim that Opelousas claims that he was Opelousas homegrown. I don't hear any opposition to that. So apparently when he was a youngster.
Here in St. Landry Parish.
In St. Landry
Close
Parish.
to Opelousas. I'm not sure exactly where, but his roots are here.
And I saw him at least one time, as I recall, maybe more than that. And then I also went over to the nightclub across from the Service Builders. Slim's Waikiki. I think I saw him there, but I also saw you on my toot-toot.
Rockin' Sydney.
Rockin' Sydney. I saw Rockin' Sydney there. And that's a story I don't have time to finish. Backed into
I didn't get to watch,
a ditch there
I didn't get to watch
night.
Clifton except on Passepartout. From time to time they would play a video with Clifton. But as a little boy, he used to play right near where my family home was in Palmetto at George Holmes Cafe. And you could hear that old bass drum. Boom,
when
boom,
I was a
boom,
bail
boom.
bondsman and I bonded somebody out over there, and I had some doubts as to whether he would attend court on the court-appointed day, I went to talk to George,
And
Mr. George, and he knew everybody in the community, and a good man.
There you go.
And I'm sure he's not with us any longer. Notice where my longtime friend, Tommy Angel, has recently been appointed, nominated and voted upon as vice president of the Lafayette Parish School Board. And then the new president is Hunter Beasley. So good luck to you all in St. Landry Parish. Unnoticed, I have those two. Herlin Dupre is president of the
Parish Council.
Parish Council. And over on the school board side, that's another big portion of our parish government. Miss Franks from Josie Franks from Eunice is the president, and our friend Mr. Stanberry is the vice president.
Very good.
So we want to congratulate all of these people and wish them success. And then, of course, it's not success for themselves, it's success for the communities that they represent. And I watched the president's speech last night, and you get all kind of, but if you're watching it and hoping that he says something that's good for the country, he looks like he trying to get them to work together. And then he said if they don't want to work with him, well, then there's certain things that he can do on his own. And they went to fussing about that. Then when they find out the numbers, he has used that process less than anybody since Richard Nixon. So kind of they fell on their face there on that little quibble. But it's what makes our government. But I hope that they can do some things that have been dragging, and it'll help. We are the power of the country.
Time to say our prayers, Rabbit.
Oh, Lordy. But we've enjoyed the program. We weren't the best organized because we wasn't sure we were going to be able to do the program today, but Matt LeBlanc, thanks, Matt. We picked at you all but I'll thank you publicly now for coming out.
Braving in that cold and ice and everything. He had to take a long route here.
In 2010, on December the 23rd, Mr. Gary Begnaud passed away. And Running
out of time there, Chief.
Well, I'm just going to run out. Okay, I'll go to my little thought for the day. O Jesus, my God, be near me and stay with me. Do not let me stray from my eternal destiny. Thank you for viewing. Thank you, Andrew, for helping. Tell a friend.